Episode 11. The Deep Hole. Chapter 55. 12th July 2011. Vatican City. Father Hansen found that Rome was not much changed after all. Not that he had seen much of the Eternal City on his last visit 18 years ago. He didn't much like traveling and enjoyed posing as the cool Manhattan street pastor, bringing the word of God to the tough kids, even if sometimes he had to beat the concept of grace into them. Seen from his point of view, the rest of the world was provincial, and the provinces didn't change much. In reality, Father Hansen didn't beat anybody, nor had he evangelized on the streets of Manhattan. He was just a simple chaplain from the St. Peter and Paul community in Brooklyn, who tended to come across as a bit repressed and harried, but possessed a gift that 18 years ago had gained him an invitation to the Vatican, and had left him with nightmares ever since. At the time, Father Hansen had been a 33-year-old, pale, chain-smoking chaplain of Irish extraction doing a 2-week workshop in Rome. It was one of those career progression sessions which you couldn't apply for but had to be invited to. How he had come to be invited, Father Hansen never knew, but a letter bearing the seal of His Holiness had made it clear that he had come to somebody's attention. The girls in the Blue Flamingo had feted him as if he were about to be declared pope, and then turned away in hysterics. But Father Hansen was no fool. He realized it had to be something to do with her voice. Ever since, he had been the practicing exorcist for the greater New York City area. It sounded good, but didn't bring any increase in his stipend, nor could he boast about it. On the contrary, over the course of the past 18 years, Father Hansen had seen things that made him more taciturn than ever. The only things he took any pleasure from in life were those evenings in the Blue Flamingo and her voice, the voice of the Mother of God. The man who had trained him up as an exorcist was now Pope. That in itself was no surprise. The Mother of God had hinted as much, though he hadn't said anything to Don Luigi. The Mother of God had warned him about Don Luigi. But now he couldn't think of any other option but to ask his former mentor what to do about this letter he had received. The letter, which had been addressed to him personally, was from Frank Babcock, who 2 months earlier had been horribly murdered in his apartment along with his neighbor Neil Cummings. The police had taken it in their stride, given that Frank Babcock's elder brother Steve had his finger in a lot of pies, and often mixed with people who didn't mess around if they thought somebody was trying to take something from them. In this case, they had simply decided to take Steve's little brother from them. At least that was how the police saw it. But Father Hansen knew better, because a year earlier, Frank Babcock had turned to him for help in finding his way back to God, and in being freed from a being called Astaroth, which tormented him every evening.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?